Hello friends, Clage back with another Punishing Grey Raven guide today, and we have a new leap to talk about. Watanabe Epitaph has received his leap skills, and not only do they unlock the Darkflow portion damage of his kit, making us have an actual Darkflow tank now available in Punishing Grey Raven, but they also come with some of the strongest general buffs and quality of life stuff I have seen on a leap kit to this point in the game. So even though the elemental effect may not have the impact you might expect right out the gate, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, this is absolutely a set of leap skills worth grabbing and investing as soon as you're available to, because they actually make Watanabe not just an elemental effect character, but greatly buff his general ability as a tank, not only for that effect, but for his main team, the fire team. So I know a lot of you are newer, coming in with the Devil May Cry collab and the Global Sync and all that, and maybe you have not leaped a character yet or haven't had the ability to think about leaping a character yet. So I want to go over what is involved with getting a character's leap skills and what you're going to be getting out of it with Watanabe. So if this is your first time leaping a character, you're going to need a few different materials to level up all three leap skills to maximum. First and foremost, you are going to need 135 of the Watanabe character-specific leap wafers. These are acquired by going into the recycle shop in the leap shop and using the regular leap wafers to purchase them in bulk. You can get regular leap wafers by going into the Warzone shop and purchasing them at a rate of 4 war points for one chip. You'll need a grand total of 2,025 regular chips if you want to be able to buy enough Watanabe leap wafer chips. So if you're a newer player, you don't have a lot of Warzone points built up yet, that is okay. This is something you can build up over time, and you can unlock each leap skill as you're able to acquire enough materials to do so. But if you are looking to leap Watanabe, and you should, as I'll go into here soon, I definitely suggest trying to save up some Warzone points and get leap wafers bought as quickly as you can, because these are probably the biggest wall, quote unquote, to getting leap skills unlocked. In addition to the wafers, you are going to need 630 aura basic units. These can be bought 30 a day in the shop for what is frankly kind of an expensive cog cost, but thankfully they are also available in the event shop at all times. If you go to the materials section, you can pick them up at a rate of 10 per 123 event shop points. So this is the best way to get the aura basic units. You'll need 630 of those total, and then you'll also need 180 basic skill points to unlock all three leap skills to their maximum. Even if you're a newer player, you've probably got a surplus of skill points, but if for some reason you're short because you're leveling a bunch of new characters, you can get these in the shop for very cheap. Like I said, you will need 180 of those to actually get all three skills to their maximum. As for how to actually activate the leap skills, you go into your skill menu on Watanabe or any leapable character, and down at the bottom you will see the leap skill abilities here. So you go down here, and just like the normal skills, you level them up with the materials, same way you would any of the basic skills that a character has, and each of them go up to a total of 18 levels, just like a basic orb skill or a basic attack skill would. So let's go over what you're actually getting once you invest in Watanabe's leap skills and what you're getting out of this. So first and foremost, as mentioned, it does unlock his Darkflow portion of his kit. This is going to allow him to build the Darkflow mechanic, to do Darkflow damage, and to do Darkflow elemental shreds. So this is the selling point of leap skills on a lot of modern characters, is unlocking their elemental effect. We do have a nominal amount of second and third gen characters that did not launch with an elemental effect, and leap skills are a way to get them to be able to take part in the elemental effect portion of Punishing Grey Raven's combat. But for Watanabe, it's not just about unlocking Darkflow damage. He gets very relevant and very potent buffs by unlocking these leap skills that apply to both Darkflow and his base fire tanking kit. So let's go over exactly what you're getting on all of that. So Leap skills work where the initial skill unlocks a thing, and then you get something at level 9 and level 18 as you level up each skill individually. So the level 9 boost for this is just going to make Darkflow Reserve build faster. I'll go over Darkflow in detail when we have a proper Darkflow team. You might think we have one. I'll talk about that closer to the end of the video, so bear with me on that. So this isn't super relevant right this second, but it is going to make Darkflow building a lot quicker and easier. But the notable boost on this first leap skill is that at level 18, this is going to increase the damage of thermal erosion by 10%, the extra damage that is. Thermal erosion is what happens when you ping Watanabe's Blaze Orb, the special red orb you get when he goes into his ultimate assault mode. You build up the red orbs and the Blaze Orbs that you use on the top part of the bar. This is just free damage on those, and Blaze Orbs are a huge part of Watanabe's basic kit when he is on the field. That is where a lot of his damage lies. You actually resonate Red Orb on Watanabe to make Blaze Orbs do more damage, so just a free 10% extra damage on that is quite nice. And then in addition, you will get an extra Blaze Orb the first time you use Flaming Bombardment. Flaming Bombardment is simply when you spend one of his shotgun shells from his core passive gauge by tapping basic attack to build up Blaze Orbs. So just doing what you would do with Watanabe anyway is going to get you an extra Blaze Orb. This is very useful. This just makes every part of his rotation and his kit, once he's in assault mode, go quicker and build to ult quicker, while also getting some gravy bonus damage on top of it. So this by itself already is a very high quality leap skill. This is quite good without even getting into any of the other stuff available. So strong start out the gate here for a new leap on Watanabe. The second skill is honestly cracked. This is kind of wild for a leap skill. So first and foremost, the base damage of 3 pings increases by 30%. Not extra damage, base damage. To give you an idea of how strong of a buff this is, let's go one page back and let's look at the triple S buffs, right? Triple S plus, the final evolution. The you went 11 copies deep on a character. Bonus damage of thermal erosion and 3 pings increases by 35%. The extra damage. 35%, 30%. This is 5% off of a triple S plus skill for just leaping a character, which is something literally anyone can do for free. So already we're talking about a real nice chunk of extra damage on 3 pings, and Watanabe uses 3 pings a lot. That's how he builds Blaze Orbs and shotgun shells. 3 pinging is part of Watanabe's kit, so this is just free damage. Excellent. Wonderful. His level 9 mid skill on the second skill is what allows him to do Darkflow Shred. It starts out at 40%. That is big time shred. That's large. So when we do actually have Darkflow content and do Darkflow things, 40% shred out the gate on his leap skill, that's real good, but the goodies do not stop there. The level 18 portion of this is the single most important part of any of Watanabe's leap kits. So now when you reach level 18 on the second leap skill, Watanabe's QTE will cause the firepower bulwark to go off. This is the effect that after Watanabe does his full ultimate, where he dashes around the screen, leads the flame trail, and does the big shotgun blast, you know, after that, the missiles bombardment falls down. The missiles fall from the sky, the big fire ring appears on the ground, and enemies take consistent fire damage while within that ring. But more importantly, they take constant elemental shred while within that ring. Usually you would have to have Watanabe come on field, go through a rotation, do his ultimate to get access to this. Now, popping QTE just does it. It just brings it out automatically. So not only will the firepower bulwark be up much more often, because all you need to do to get it is do a QTE, but you get to have it online far quicker, which means the fire team and subsequently the Darkflow team get access to shred basically without Watanabe even touching the field. That is a massive boost. That is a big deal. That enables some interesting wrinkles where we might be able to update some rotations for the fire team and possibly have Watanabe using even less field time than before. I'll have to do some testing, and I'm sure some other people are testing around it right now, but just know that this is a big deal. This is a huge buff. In addition, he also gets 10 more percentage on his Darkflow Shred. That brings us to a grand total of 50. 50% elemental shred is nutso. That is a big shred numbers. So once we start doing Darkflow content, he gonna make it hurt. Like, that's a massive chunk of shred on top of all of that. And then on top of this, we are also going to get 2 extra stacks of thermal superconductivity. This is the ultimate stack, the ultimate notches that build around the gauge when Watanabe is in assault mode. You usually have to build these by using blaze orbs over and over again. Getting 2 extra stacks of this the first time you parry after bringing Watanabe on the field means you get to ultimate that much quicker. 2 stacks is 2/3 of the way to the ultimate if you are doing the rotation correctly and you're set up right. So this is also an incredibly nice buff because you're going to parry with Watanabe. He has an auto parry built into his kit. If you're pinging blaze orbs and just doing his general attack modes, you're going to accidentally parry something, and you're going to get this for free. So huge leap skill. This is one of the most cracked leap skills I've ever seen, period, and it's not even just about the elemental effect. This is truly an all-encompassing leap skill that just makes this character basically get, like, an upgrade beyond triple S plus. Like, this is the equivalent of giving him another evolution skill. These are big. These are very, very good. His last skill is what's going to enable his ult to do Darkflow damage, so obviously this will be important once we start doing Darkflow content. In addition, now when you leave Assault mode, so once you cast Ultimate and go out of the Blaze Orb mode back into base mode with Watanabe, any Blaze Orbs you don't use now get converted back to regular Signal Orbs. This is a very nice quality of life, because if you've played Watanabe for any amount of time, you know how bad it feels to build up extra Blaze Orbs and then not have enough time to burn them all because you need to ult to get the bombardment going. Now, the fact that we can have bombardment via QTE, and the fact that we don't just have Blaze Orbs go wasted if you ult quickly and go back to base mode, that's super nice. This might even free up setups where you no longer need deadline timing on Watanabe, because converting Blaze Orbs back into regular orbs may make it so we don't actually need that, and may free up his weapon to use other resonances instead that might benefit him on the field or benefit the team better overall as a whole. So, very nice quality of life there. Wasting Blaze Orbs feels bad. We don't have to do that anymore. Awesome. The final part of the final skill is going to give him 12 extra signature energy when he comes on the battlefield. Huge. Massive. Big deal. We haven't really been running Kadi on Watanabe for a long time now, and that means usually you have to build up his first ult to get him into assault mode by bringing him on field, doing at least 1 3-ping, and then ult comes online. Now, even without Kadi, if your Watanabe is at least double S, you should have no problem ulting immediately when he comes on. And that's super good. That just makes everything better. Going into ult quicker gets us into Blaze Orbs quicker, gets us into the shred quicker, and gets the bombardment going. This is just free speeding up of the rotation, and that is always a good thing. And lastly, the extra damage of his signature will go up by 10%, just more bonus gravy damage on top of it, and that's really good. So that covers the entirety of the leap kit. As I said, this is pretty cracked. This is a very good leap kit. We could completely ignore the Darkflow portion of the kit, and this would still be absolutely worth maxing all 3 leap skills as soon as you reasonably can on Watanabe. So, because he is a leap character now, that also means that Watanabe is available for free. You can now get shards from him if you buy the battle pass. He is available as one of the shard options. And of course, if you go into the voucher shop itself, Watanabe can be purchased for vouchers. So you can unlock Watanabe for free, even if you are a completely free-to-play player. You can build up vouchers over time through event modes and stuff and get him that way. And of course, we do have the Ebtide treasure thing going on right now, where there is the S-rank selector that goes up to Chu Shukra. Watanabe is included on this, so if you are looking to get Watanabe online and leaped and get him properly invested, this is a good way to jumpstart that. I still would recommend choosing Chu over Watanabe if you can get Watanabe built on your own time without using this S-rank selector, just because Watanabe can be gotten for free, Chu cannot. So keep that in mind, but this is an excellent way to just get him a quicker evolution or get him online and heavily invested to utilize these leap skills better. So something to think about before you use your S-rank selector if you haven't already. But that more or less goes over what Watanabe has. I want to go ahead and get into the training mode and show you how the Darkflow mechanic works, talk about the benefits of these leap skills and why they're so important, and then we'll go over what this means for future elemental effects and all that stuff as we talk about his leaps and the Darkflow team writ large. So let me hop over to training mode, and we'll go over what Watanabe has packing once we get his leap skills online. All right, so let's go over Watanabe's leap abilities in action here. So, as mentioned prior, he does now get extra signature energy when he comes on the field. So when we bring Watanabe in, boom, we already have ult online. No need to 3-ping anything. No need to build up signature energy. We can just go right into assault mode and start doing things. So again, excellent quality of life, speeds up everything, massive boost. Absolutely worth the leap materials, even if we aren't talking about the Darkflow portion. To actually activate the Darkflow portion of Watanabe's kit is very, very simple. Once you have ultimate online to go into assault mode, instead of tapping the ultimate, you are going to hold down the ultimate. So if we hold down, Watanabe will go into will go into ultimate, and now you can see the purple kind of flares go around him, and now instead of doing fire damage when you do blaze orbs and when you do his ultimate, you will see the purple tinge to the flames, and that is how we know we are doing dark damage. So if we build up enough and go into the ultimate, as you can see, we do Darkflow damage, the shotgun blast goes off, all that good stuff, and now the bombardment starts. So we have the fire bombardment just as we normally would, the big fire ring on the ground. The only difference is now in addition to the fire damage, it's doing Darkflow damage and doing Darkflow shred, as mentioned in the leap explanations. Again, the big change for Watanabe is, of course, being able to do that bombardment without going into anything else. So if we bring Vera on real quick and get her into ult mode, go ahead and hold basic. If I call Watanabe here, you're going to see that he comes in, does his QTE, and the bombardment starts. Like I said, this is big. This is a very, very nice quality of life. This is a huge boost to Watanabe's overall ability to keep shred, not just, you know, for the huge amount of shred he does, but to do it constantly. Having this active much, much more often is just a big boon to whatever team Watanabe is tanking for you on. You'll notice that the bombardment did stay as Darkflow damage. How that works is when you swap Watanabe off, every QTE, every fire bombardment there going forward is going to do Darkflow damage until you bring him back onto the field. Once he comes back onto the field, the Darkflow damage aspect of his kit is reset, and he will go back to doing strictly fire damage until we go back into ult and re-trigger it. So if I were to come back in here and now go into ult the normal way, so I'm just going to tap ultimate, go into the fire version of Watanabe's assault mode. We do the thing, ping blaze orbs. As you can see, they're the normal color. The fire is the normal color, all that good stuff. Shotgun blast goes off, yada yada, etc., etc. So if we swap Watanabe off from here and bring Vera back in, get her into her core passive so we can have QTEs come up. As you can see, the fire and bombardment's still going on because Watanabe did ult. And then if I missed because I didn't hold long enough, but that's okay. So if we bring Watanabe back in, QTE, now the fire bombardment is back to fire damage because we left the field in fire damage mode. So just keep in mind that whatever damage you leave the field on when Watanabe exits will determine what kind of damage his QTE and then the fire bombardment that triggers after will do. So just keep that in mind. You won't need to do Darkflow stuff right now because, frankly, we have a Darkflow team, except that we kind of don't. And let me explain what I'm talking about. There's basically nothing else to really share on how the leap skills work. They just kind of work with his innate kit. And again, you don't have to change what you're doing. There's no new rotation. There's no new skill or anything special. It's just, you want Darkflow damage, hold ultimate. You want fire damage, tap ultimate. That's it. That's the entire learning curve right now. And the reason you're not getting a full breakdown on how the Darkflow stack mechanic works and how Darkflow damage works and what a Darkflow rotation would look like is, again, because the Darkflow team kind of has some issues. So, and by issues, I mean there's one main one, and let's just talk about it real quick here. So, if we go back into our member teams, go down to our elemental effects here, and we bring up the Darkflow team, you'll see we do have a full Darkflow team. We have Vera as an amplifier, Watanabe as a tank, and Crimson Weave as an attacker. In theory, that means, cool, the Darkflow team is complete. We can actually start doing Darkflow content, and this becomes a relevant thing in punishing Grey Raven. Well, the problem here is that as much as I love Crimson Weave, as much as Alpha is my favorite character in this game, she is the reason I started playing Punishing Grey Raven, she's outdated. She is very, very outdated. Her damage is frankly not up to snuff anymore. Even at triple S+, which you can get Alpha 2 for free now because she is also a voucher character, because she's also gotten her leap, which enabled her Darkflow damage. Even at triple S+, you will notice her lacking behind every other attacker. If we go through each element's individual attackers right now, Selena, extremely new unit. Pyra Oath, fairly new unit, just came out this year. Chu is our other oldest attacker, and Chu is still a pretty modern unit that still carries her elemental team. Lucia is notably outdated. The lightning team in general is quite outdated except for Nana Knight, and this patch literally gave us a brand new dark attacker in Bianca. So right now, Alpha is noticeably behind the curve compared to every other attacker that has an elemental effect. And because of that, her Darkflow damage just ain't there. Not only does her Darkflow kit take a long time to get to because you have to go into ult mode, you have to build up enough energy to hold down into the stance and activate the Darkflow damage, and then the Darkflow damage skill has a rather long animation on it. This just means that we actually don't have a good Darkflow attacker. And because we don't have a modern, well-tuned, high-damage Darkflow attacker, we're not seeing Darkflow content yet. And I suspect we're not going to see Darkflow content for a good while because we just don't have a true attacker to carry the damage and make the element worth using yet. Until we see either a modern attacker getting a leap that adds Darkflow damage to their kit, and going back to Chu, this could be a viable route they choose. Chu does not have an elemental effect yet, and they could very easily add her as a leap and give her Darkflow damage and make her the Darkflow attacker. That would be one way they would go about it. The way I suspect we're going to do this is we're going to get a new attacker that just innately comes with the Darkflow effect, and that will replace Alpha as the go-to Darkflow attacker. Until we see one of those two things, until we see a modern attacker with the Darkflow effect on their kit, I don't think we're going to be seeing Darkflow Warzone, nor are we going to be seeing Darkflow Pain Cage bosses. In general, the elemental effects have not become a regular thing in the weekly game mode rotations until we have a full team with an attacker who can actually utilize the damage and carry it properly. And Alpha just can't do that. It pains me to say it. I hate it to death. I hate that my girl is this outdated and her damage is so far behind the curve. But she's been around a while. Alpha has been in the game for a hot minute now. So it's understandable that she's just not going to keep up. And again, her Darkflow kit was implemented back when leaps were kind of being built onto characters to keep them both, one, meta viable for longer, and two, to give them an elemental effect. But when they first started giving out the elemental effects, they hadn't quite fine-tuned what they wanted the elemental effect rotations and the elemental effect game flow to look like. And Alpha's is just clunky. It's no other way to say it. It's just clunky. And again, I don't think we're going to be seeing Darkflow stuff for a minute. So while the main purpose of getting Watanabe Leap is that it makes him the Darkflow tank, and as mentioned, is a very good amount of shred on Darkflow, that's not what going to be what makes this relevant right now. What makes his leap relevant is that it makes him an infinitely better fire tank. That's just good. That's big business right there. And so if you can afford to get the leap materials right now by saving up war points and everything else you can get either via cogs or the event shop, no needing specialized currency, no needing battle pass, currency, anything like that, you should get Watanabe leaped ASAP. As mentioned, this is one of the strongest leaps I've ever seen. It is a huge amount of quality of life. It is a huge amount of extra damage because him being able to do the fire bombardment without getting on the field means that the fire team and then eventually the Darkflow team down the road is just going to have a massive amount of shred that procs constantly, just constantly giving you a massive amount of extra damage to the element that you're using with Watanabe as your tank. So Highly recommend getting him leaped as soon as you can. This is just going to make the character way better. He will feel better to play when he's on the field and doing rotations. And again, it's a free upgrade. Any player can do this. Anyone can do it. No hard money required. You can just go in, buy the materials, and do it. So definitely go do that when you are available to. And if you do not have Watanabe yet, strongly consider saving up some vouchers or using that S rank selector to get him unlocked. He's still going to be relevant for a very long time. And once we do have a proper Darkflow team, he's going to be a key cog to make it work in any capacity. So that pretty much does it for this one. Again, not really going to go in deep into what Darkflow does and how you activate it, because until we are actually being given war zones and pain cage bosses that utilize it, there's just no reason to worry about it. We're just not going to utilize it yet. One little wrinkle I will throw out is that there is starting to be some buzz and a little bit of tech from the Chinese player base where some players are using Watanabe as a dark tank to replace Corinna Nashir. And I have not gotten confirmation on how viable this is or if it works that way. But if it turns out that Darkflow Shred also works for just basic dark damage shred, if it actually applies to dark damage and not just Darkflow damage, that means Watanabe easily replaces Corinna Nashir as the better dark tank. And not only that, it might enable new rotations since we won't have to account for Corinna filling in downtime with her, well, completely outdated kit and damage. So no idea how truly viable this is. No idea if that's how Darkflow damage works. If anyone has messed with this, or if you've been, keeping an eye on Bilibili or any of the major Chinese PGR video outlets, if you've seen anything on this and seen if it's viable, let me know, because I'm genuinely curious if this is a thing. If Watanabe can free us from the outdated kit of Corinna Nashir on that team, that will make its potential rise through the roof. That's a big deal. If he just gets to do 50% shred to dark damage, okay. Sure, why not? But I will be doing some more research on that. I am very curious how that's going to play out, but something to keep on the radar is that Watanabe might not even just be a fire and dark flow tank. He might be a temporary dark tank. It is a possibility that is being played with, so I'm very curious to see where that goes. But I have yip-yapped long enough on this one. Leap guides really should be about 10 minutes, but have you watched this channel? When have I ever been able to be, any form of brevity with anything I do? So, that said, I do have access now to Veronica on the test server and can start at least preliminarily testing a few things. The big problem is that it is a very outdated version of Veronica. It is probably Veronica 1.0. The content creator liaisons weren't sure and could not confirm for me if the version on the test server is Veronica 1.0 or 2.0. All they know for sure is it is an outdated version. It is not the final version of Veronica, and Veronica has gotten numerous buffs, tweaks, and changes throughout the version updates on the Chinese test server. So there's very limited amounts of stuff I can do with the test server access I have. And what this means is that the Veronica guide is just not going to be out on the day she launches. I don't want to do all my testing with what is clearly an outdated version. That's going to throw off numbers. That might potentially mess with what rotations make sense or what rotations work better. I'm not going to have the updates they've given to her kit and all the other stuff. So I will be doing some basic testing to try and get an idea of how she works, just to get that part out of the way. But until I have access to the actual final real version with the updated kit and numbers, there's not a lot of purpose in me doing heavy number crunching and heavy rotation testing, because it's all just going to get thrown out the window. And I don't want to base all my research and testing for a guide on information that's clearly outdated. That's just silly, and you guys know me. I care much more about getting proper information and helping people learn characters than I do getting my guide out first ahead of everybody so that I can hopefully rope in some more views. You guys all know how I work by now. So I will have updates on Veronica as soon as I can. I will get that guide out as soon as I reasonably can, but just know that it's probably going to be at least a couple days after she launches on the global servers. So I do apologize for that. That's just the way the test server thing played out. With this being the final global sync patch, it was kind of inevitable that there were going to be some bottlenecks here and there, and we'll work through it. It's not the end of the world. It just means the guide's going to take a little bit longer than I would like. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to do all the YouTube garbage, like, comment, subscribe. It's always appreciated. It's never necessary. But if you got any questions on Watanabe, the Leap skills, the Darkflow team, or again, if you've seen anything on this potential of Watanabe possibly stepping in as a Dark Tank replacement, let me know, because I'm genuinely curious and I'm trying to find out more information on that front. But thank you so much for watching. Appreciate y'all. Y'all be good to each other. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.